At 26 years old, working 7 days a week across 4 different jobs, this person still couldn't see a way out. $36,000 in debt, freshly unemployed, and 4 months of making less than $1,000 a month. This is the story of how someone hit rock bottom financially and what they did in the next 24 hours that actually started to change everything. Let's set the scene, because the numbers here are genuinely staggering when you consider the age and the circumstances. We're talking about a 26-year-old who found themselves staring down approximately $26,000 in personal debt. Credit cards, personal loans, the kind of debt that creeps up quietly until one day you open a spreadsheet and feel the floor drop out from under you. But that wasn't even the worst of it. Tax season rolled around, and the number staring back at them from their tax return was another $10,000 owed to the IRS. That's $36,000 total, at 26. Now here's the part that made this situation especially brutal. This person hadn't just been reckless in the traditional sense. They had been forcibly switched from a W-2 employee position to a 1099 contractor role by their employer. If you don't know what that means, here's the short version. When you're a W-2 employee, your employer withholds taxes from every paycheck automatically. When you become a 1099 contractor, that responsibility falls entirely on you. Nobody sits you down and walks you through it. Nobody sends you reminders. And if you're not proactive about setting aside roughly 25 to 30% of every payment you receive, come April, the IRS is going to send you a bill that feels like a punch to the stomach. That's exactly what happened here. And the cruelest twist, after this person had already put in their 2 weeks' notice to leave that job, their employer let them go early. So now they're jobless, in debt, and facing a tax bill they had no idea was coming. The 4 months that followed were some of the hardest of this person's life, financially speaking. With their income stream cut off and a new job that hadn't ramped up yet, they were bringing in less than $1,000 a month. To put that into perspective, the average one-bedroom apartment in the United States costs more than that in rent alone. They were surviving, barely. And during that time, the debt wasn't shrinking. Interest was still accruing. Credit card companies don't pause because your life fell apart. By the time this person came up for air enough to even articulate their situation, they were working 4 separate remote jobs, 7 days a week, no days off, and had just reached the point where that grind was producing about $2,000 every 2 weeks. That's progress. That's real, hard-earned progress. But when you're staring down $36,000 in debt and you're exhausted to your core, it's almost impossible to see that progress as meaningful. It just feels like running on a treadmill that someone keeps speeding up. What's powerful about this story, though, what makes it worth talking about, is what happened next. This person did something that a lot of people in financial crisis never do. They asked for help, publicly and honestly. They posted their situation online, laid out every number, admitted every mistake, and said, "I want to fix this. Tell me how." And the response they got was overwhelming. Within 24 hours, they had received enough feedback, support, and concrete advice to actually put a plan together. And that plan, even in its rough early form, is genuinely smart. Let's walk through it, because this is where the story stops being just a cautionary tale and starts becoming a roadmap. First, they scheduled a consultation with a bankruptcy attorney. Now, before you react to that word, bankruptcy, understand something important. Bankruptcy is not failure. It is a legal tool that exists specifically to help people in situations exactly like this one. A consultation costs little to nothing, and it gives you information. It tells you whether Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 might apply to your situation, what assets you could protect, and whether restructuring your debt legally might actually be the fastest path to stability. Talking to an attorney doesn't mean you're filing. It means you're informed. That is always the right move. Second, they started cutting expenses. Streaming subscriptions went away almost entirely. They kept one that the family shares, and they reached out to family members to split that cost. They kept Amazon Prime, but with a caveat, a strict monthly budget for purchases. This is actually a psychologically intelligent decision. Cutting absolutely everything at once often leads to binge spending rebounds. Giving yourself a small, controlled outlet for spending can actually help you stick to the broader budget. The key word there is controlled. A set number in a spreadsheet, non-negotiable. Which brings us to the third piece, the budget. A real one. Not a mental note, not a rough guess. An actual spreadsheet with every dollar accounted for. Income, fixed expenses, variable expenses, minimum debt payments, and any leftover that can go toward the highest interest debt first. They even connected with free financial counseling services in their city. Free. These services exist in most major cities and many smaller ones. They're staffed by certified counselors who are not trying to sell you anything. They just help you see your numbers clearly and make a plan. Fourth, and this one is crucial, they plan to call their creditors directly. This step gets skipped constantly because it feels humiliating or scary. But here's what most people don't know. Credit card companies and lenders deal with financial hardship situations every single day. Many of them have formal hardship programs. Some will temporarily lower your interest rate. Some will let you skip a payment without penalty. Some will settle for less than the full balance if you can make a lump sum offer. You have more negotiating power than you think, especially before an account goes to collections. Calling them and explaining your situation, calmly, honestly, and with a specific request, works more often than people expect. And finally, they plan to contact the IRS about the tax debt. This is where a lot of people freeze because the IRS feels like this monolithic, terrifying institution. But the IRS also has hardship programs. They have installment agreement plans. There's something called an offer in compromise, where you can actually negotiate a lower total settlement amount if you qualify. The IRS would rather get something than nothing, and they will work with you if you reach out proactively rather than ignoring the bill and hoping it goes away. Oh, and they're keeping their cats. Which honestly, good. Mental health matters. You cannot grind through a financial recovery if you're completely depleted as a human being. So what can you take from all of this? What's the actual lesson sitting inside this story? The first thing is this: financial shame will keep you stuck longer than financial debt will. The hardest part of this person's journey wasn't the math. It was posting that first message and admitting what had happened. The moment they did that, they got help. The moment you stop hiding from your numbers and look at them directly, you gain power over them. The second thing, the 1099 trap is real and it catches millions of people every year. If you are ever switched to contractor status, or if you start any kind of freelance or self-employed income, set aside 25 to 30% of every single payment in a separate account from day one. Treat it like it was never yours to spend, because legally, it isn't. That money belongs to the IRS, and they will collect it. The third thing, doing something, any productive thing, breaks the paralysis. This person set up a lawyer consultation, canceled subscriptions, and scheduled a financial counseling appointment, all within 24 hours of asking for help. None of those actions solved the problem instantly, but each one moved the needle. Momentum is a real force, and in personal finance, a small right decision today is worth more than a perfect plan you never start. And the fourth, you have more options in financial crisis than you realize. Creditor negotiations, IRS payment plans, nonprofit credit counseling, bankruptcy consultation, income stacking, these are all real levers. The people who come out the other side of situations like this aren't the ones who had it easier. They're the ones who found out what the levers were and started pulling them. If any part of this story felt familiar to you, if you've ever stared at a number you couldn't imagine paying off, or avoided opening your mail because you knew what was inside, or felt like you were working constantly and still falling behind, you are not alone, and you are not out of options. The first step is always the same. Look at the numbers, all of them. Write them down. Then decide what the next smallest right action is and take it today. Not next week, today. If this kind of real, honest financial storytelling is helpful to you, subscribe to this channel. We cover situations just like this one. The messy, complicated, unglamorous reality of getting your finances under control. Because that's where most people actually live, and that's where the most important conversations happen. Hit subscribe and come back. There's a lot more to talk about.